Welcome, everyone. I'm Pastor Lyle Truitt, and I have got a story to tell, and it's one that you may know very well. It's about Joseph and Mary on their way, and a little baby being born in the hay. It is angels, and an innkeeper, and shepherds, and stars shining bright on a very special holy night. It's about hoping that good dreams will come true. It's a love story from heaven, a love story written for you. So, without further ado, let me take you first to Nazareth and then to the manger in Bethlehem, where all the hopes and the dreams of the whole world will come true. Now, when the world was growing darker and the people longed for light, our great God heard every sad and lonely prayer. So he sent an angel down to a tiny town named Nazareth, who told a teenage girl living there, Mary didn't know what the angel was talking about, and she was very scared. But the angel said to her, and Mary said,
"Okay, let me."
Now the angel came again and snuck into Joseph's dreams and said to Joseph,
Mary will be the mommy of God's sons. You must marry her and be her husband and take care of her and the baby named Jesus.
and Joseph woke up from his dream.
God has a gift for you.
Joseph was a carpenter.
Isn't he cute? Isn't she a doll?
So the man named Joseph married the girl named Mary, who was expecting a baby, and Joseph took Mary into his home to keep her safe. And then everyone in the country of Israel were told that they had to travel to their hometowns where they would be counted. They didn't have computers and smartphones like we do today, so they had to actually show up. Now, Joseph's hometown was Bethlehem, so Joseph and Mary had to travel a very, very long time to get to Bethlehem. And when they arrived, they were so cold and they were so tired, they began to look for a place where they could warm up and get some sleep. But when they arrived, the city was just full of people, and Joseph could not find a place for them.
Joseph, I am so tired.
They were so cold and so tired as they knocked at every door, but they couldn't find a place to lay their heads. Finally, Joseph came to the last inn, like a motel today, and he said to the innkeeper,
I am Joseph, and this is Mary. We need a place for the night.
but the innkeeper shook his head no. He shook his head no, and then he said,
Sorry, pal. You're full. Can't help you. My place is packed. There's no place to put
But Joseph said,
First you can have a baby. Soon.
and the innkeeper looked both ways. He looked over there and he looked both ways, and the innkeeper, then the innkeeper said,
Look, we all have problems. There's a same on the map. It's not lunch. I'll live for some. Shelter for the cold. I'll throw in some clean hay for you to sleep on.
So Joseph said,
Or take it. God,
now, outside the city of Bethlehem, in the hills far, far away, were some shepherds watching over their sheep, but most of them had fallen asleep. And in the quiet of the night, out of the night sky came some angels, and the angels said to the shepherds, and it scared those shepherds. They had never seen angels before, and the shepherds said, and the angel said to the shepherds,
Shepherds, do not be afraid. We bring you good news. In Bethlehem, a baby has been born. And he is the King of all people. Even you. Here's the Savior of the Lord. You'll find him west and flock in the manger. Go and see him.
and the shepherds looked at each other and said,
Wow. Dude, this is so cool. Let's go see this baby.
and the shepherds left their sheep, and they saw a beautiful and a very bright star in the sky. And they walked a long way toward that star to Bethlehem, and they found the baby Jesus in the stable, lying in the manger, wrapped in cloth, just like the angels had told them. And the shepherds said hi to Mary and Joseph, and they said to them,
Is this the baby Jesus? Is this the king? Who are you? The angels told us to go. We are really scared. We follow his side to find his baby.
and then Joseph said to the shepherds,
We weren't expecting company.
and a brave shepherd asked Joseph,
Can I hold this baby?
and Mary said,
It's okay. It's okay.
and the brave shepherd held the baby and looked into his eyes and said to the baby,
George to the will. I appoint the king.
and then all the angels and all the shepherds shouted very loudly,
George to the
And Joseph and Mary looked at each other and they said,
What a busy night.
and Mary said, and then the next morning, the shepherds went out into town and told everybody what had happened, and they praised God. So Mary and Joseph and the innkeeper and the angels and the shepherds were all brought together by God in Bethlehem on that first Christmas when the baby Jesus was born, and all the animals too. And that's why we remember and celebrate Christmas every year, because Jesus Christ was born. God came to be with us. And that's why we say to each other,